Nom Nom delivers fresh food with whole ingredients backed by veterinarian science. Science tells us that a dog's health starts in the bowl, so improving their diet is one of the best ways to help them live a long and happy life. Nom Nom's food is full of proteins your dog loves and the vitamins and nutrients they need to thrive. All you have to do is order, pour, and serve. Ready to make the switch to fresh? Order Nom Nom today. Go to https://trynom.com/curveball and get 50% off your first order plus free shipping. That's https://trynom.com/curveball. Plus, Nom Nom comes with a money-back guarantee. If your dog's tail isn't wagging within 30 days, Nom Nom will refund your first order. No fillers, no nonsense, just Nom Nom. Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by singer-songwriter Holly West. She is a member of the rock and roll band based out of Los Angeles, Dead Groove. Her and Fred Aching founded it, so we're going to be talking to her about the band, the type of music that they do, and they just released a project here recently. So, Holly, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Why don't you start off, first of all, by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Okay. So I live in Los Angeles, and I'm a touring bassist with Zepparella, which is an all-female Zeppelin tribute. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm here doing my project with Dead Groove. I grew up in Dallas and did a lot of bands and shows there. And then in 2019 decided to move out here so that I could just do music full time. So that's what I've been doing out here since. And you can kind of see me everywhere. Well, if you're out here, always doing a show here and there.
Well, man, first of all, tell us about that Zepparella and why you guys started that and how you started it and what it's all about.
Okay. Zepparella was founded, I think in 2005. I wasn't a founding member. The guitar player and the drummer are founding members. And they started Zepparella because they wanted to learn the music of Jimmy, of Zeppelin. They wanted to really master Jimmy Page and John Bonham's parts. So they started this band and joined Anna, our singer. And so for many years, they were touring all over the place. And what's really crazy is I actually saw them play before I started playing music. So they actually inspired me to start playing music. And right before I moved out here, they needed a bass player. And so I got the call and went out for an audition and started playing shows with them. About a month later, had to take a few weeks to learn all the John Paul Jones parts, but it's not the easiest thing to learn. So it took a minute, and then we finally got on the road. And after that, we've been together ever since.
Absolutely. So, tell us about Dead Groove. How did you guys get that name, and how did you get your start? And tell us all about it.
Yeah, Dead Groove is a pandemic project. I think as we see a lot of those kind of coming into fruition last year. Basically, Fred and I, we live together. Fred is from Peru, and he's the drummer, and he came in we were just talking about forming a band, because we played together at the house all the time, drum and bass, and we didn't really have any songs, but we were definitely wanting to write together. And so we started talking to Caesar, who's the guitar player, and he's still in Peru, in Lima. And he sent us some tracks, and we sent him some stuff, and we started to work on a couple of songs. One named Maverick, which I had written as an acoustic song, acoustic blues song when I first moved to California in 2019. So we finally put that to music. And then he had an arrangement that he had done, and we wrote the Book of the Dead, which is based off of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And when we wanted to record these, we had to go to Lima, Peru, to where Caesar was. Not only was it cheaper to go down there because he has a studio, and we could stay with his family and stuff, and it was just a really cool getaway for us as well. So we recorded those two songs, and then we just kind of wanted to see where they would go. So when we got back to the States, we started promoting the songs. We did a lyric video for Maverick, and then eventually a music video, and then another music video for Book of the Dead. And that kind of springboarded us into a little bit of popularity. So we decided that we wanted to go back and do a full record. So we started writing the full record. And in that time, we got signed to Rock Avenue Records. And so they ended up funding us to go back to Peru to finish the record. So we put both of those singles, Maverick and Book of the Dead, on this record and released that in March 30th. And now we're starting to book shows for the rest of the year. Right before we started the band, though, we started a clothing company called Dead Groove Clothing. And Fred is a graphic designer. He actually works for Cleopatra Records doing all of their graphic design. And so he was doing a lot of different designs, and I wanted to design them on clothing. So we kind of just put our heads together and came up with this clothing line called Dead Groove Clothing, and it has a lot of really cool stuff in there. And we both kind of take liberty at designing the different things. So what's cool is that now we have a lot of merch, for the band to pick from, since they're both called Dead Grooves.
Yeah, so tell us about what even inspired you to become a musician in the first place.
Well, when I was young, I realized that I had a lot of musicians in my family, and my father really, really loved music. He loved all classic rock, and my mom, she really loved music too, but she was more into pop. And so at a young age, I got exposed to a lot of classic rock and pop, and I really loved the R&B and pop singers. Whitney Houston was probably my first big inspiration, along with Belinda Carlisle and Gloria Estefan. I think those three voices are just what really pushed me to want to sing. I really wanted to start playing piano at a young age. I ended up getting a little keyboard and messed around with it, but I just never learned it. And later on, I got a guitar and started writing my own songs. And so eventually I wanted to really become a musician. And, I did get inspiration from going out and seeing bands live. And how I ended up in a band was a friend of mine, needed a bass player, and he was a bass player. So he basically just told me he would take me under his wing and show me how to play bass. And that's pretty much how it started. I just went to my first rehearsal the next day. I knew what the names of the strings were, and that is about it. but the rest is history.
It most definitely is. So when you guys write songs, how are the songs constructed between you guys? How do you go about, your writing process or your work process?
Yeah, that's a really good question because we're in two different countries. So, as far as the music, with this whole record, with this whole record, basically, I was I was kind of wanting us to have strong points. So I kind of let the boys do the arrangements and the music because I wanted I wanted them to really shine in that area, and really work on because when you have a guitar player, he or she can write an arrangement, but if they don't work it out with a drummer, it might not fit completely. So for them to team up and work on the arrangements and the kind of mood of the song, they would present almost the full thing back to me, minus bass and melody, of course, and lyrics. So I would go in and start on melody and lyrics with it. And then I would come to them and say, okay, this is what I have. And from there, we would pick the parts that we really liked and parts that we wanted to change. And then when I was writing the bass lines, I was following what Caesar did melodically, and doing a little bit of my own, but really kind of having him work his magic in that area. I think it worked really well that way. I'm not sure if, in the future will work exactly like that, but for the first record, I think it worked really well. Now, we're when we're doing the music and Fred is talking to Caesar in Peru, there's also a language barrier. I don't speak Spanish. I'm working on it, but I don't speak Spanish right now. And so it's very hard for me to communicate with Caesar what I want. So, and kind of frustrating for Fred at times because he's the one that has to be the translator. So for them to go back and forth constantly, doing the music was just easier. And so we did the kind of the same with the music videos. Fred would tell him what to do to make it look like what we shot here. Because the videos, if you look at the first two that we have out, not the third one, which is Bad Friend, but the one from Maverick and the Book of the Dead, we shot those in two different countries. Caesar is in Peru and we're in Los Angeles. And it actually worked out pretty good. It fits really well.
So for this latest project that you guys just released, tell the listeners what inspired this project.
Well, we wanted to with the first two songs, we just wanted to kind of establish a sound to maybe go forth and do a record. We weren't sure if we were going to do a full record or if we were just going to do a couple songs and see how it goes, but we were willing to try. And so it just kind of came out to be this very hard rock, inspired by blues, classic rock, a little bit of metal, a little bit of not so much pop, but I feel in my vocals I do. I mean, I'm from the South, so I do kind of just have that Southern way about my vocals. So I feel like our mood for this record and what inspired us to really write the whole thing was just to be able to create our own sound and to create something that we like to do, because most of us are in touring bands that are either doing tributes or other people's music, basically. So we're or projects that we really love, but there's kind of other people's projects. So it was also something we just wanted to come together and write as our own, just the three of us.
So for someone who has never heard your music, how would you go about describing it?
That's a really good question because it's so hard to answer. I feel like our music is hard rock, and it's inspired heavily by like Black Sabbath, um, Deep Purple, Alice in Chains, Rival Sons, with a female fronted. It's a power trio, so we're all three individualistic in our own way in the trio. So it's kind of hard to explain being on the inside, but that's kind of how I explain it to people.
So if somebody went to one of you guys' live shows, what could they expect?
Well, with our live shows that are coming up, you can expect that Caesar, unfortunately, will not be with us. He is still in Peru. We're going through his immigration process right now. It's a very hard, long, grueling process, and we're actually having to start over again. But we're building this tour for the rest of the year to get him here and to prove that we need him here. But for the live shows coming up, we have Jeff Young, who is ex Megadeth guitar player on guitar. So you'll see a power trio with we all have a good stage presence, and just it's a good show. It's a fun show.
Speaking of that, tell us about the upcoming projects that you guys are working on and doing that we need to know about.
Yeah, so we have a lot of PR going on in Peru right now. So we're going to be back in Peru very soon, by the end of the year. Basically, all of our tour dates are going to start, I think, in August. As of now, we're trying to get some other shows here soon, but we'll see. So far, we have some we have Tiki Bar in Costa Mesa in December. We have some a New Jersey date. We basically have we're working on small tours everywhere. So we're going to be in the Northeast in August. So we're working on Baltimore, Philadelphia. We have a confirmation in New Jersey. In September, we're going to be doing Phoenix, Arizona at the Blues Bar, and Draper, Utah at Leatherheads. And we're trying to get Cedar City in there. October, locally here in California. November, we're going to be in Texas, and we're doing the New Mexican Guitar Festival. That's November 25th. And then we'll be going back to Peru in December. And then we have a show in Los Angeles at Whiskey A Go Go in December, and then working on some other dates. So we definitely have a lot of stuff coming up. Just check out our website for all the details and all the new confirmations we have.
Well, that was the next question, but you guys need to come to Talk Kansas as well.
Absolutely. It's hard enough just to get to little areas here and there, but when we started booking this thing, we also have to worry about all of our other bands and what we're doing, because we're already booked with some of those bands. So we only have little parts of each month that we can actually go out and do these little tours. So next year we're going to try to do even more areas for sure.
Absolutely. Go ahead and throw out that website so the listeners can keep up with everything you're up to, and let us know how we can check out the music.
Yeah, if you want to go to the website, it's deadgrooveband.com. All of our socials are at Dead Groove Band. And we have a link tree that has pretty much everything, and any new concert tickets that can be purchased will be up on there. That's Linktree / Dead Groove Band. And then, of course, our website will have links as soon as they come up for sale on it as well. And so you can pretty much check everything out there. New videos, we're constantly throwing out new videos for this record, so that's where you can go.
All right. Well, close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe something I forgot to touch on that you would like to talk about, or just any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
Yeah, just hopefully they dig if you dig hard rock music, you want to give us a listen. We kind of have our own special sound with a lot of that classic vibe as well. So it's fun and it's groovy. It's called Dead Groove.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, deadgrooveband.com. Be sure to check out everything that Holly is up to and also the latest version of the Led Zeppelin. Be sure to check everything out. Check out this new project and support the band.
Yeah.
Deadgrooveband.com. Also, please be sure to follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible. If you have any guests or suggestion topics, cjackson102@cox.net is the place to send them. As usual, thank you for listening. And Holly, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Curtis, for having me. I appreciate it.
For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.